Good evening, everyone. Could we please find seats? There's a few up front and intermittent. So maybe everybody move in one so people don't have to climb over you, like in the movie theater. Move in one. Because there's extra seats up front. This way nobody has to stand in the back. Okay, it is 7 o'clock, 10 after 7. So we were trying to get audio, but it didn't work. So we're just using the one mic, and the candidates will share for our videographer. For the Board of Education forum tomorrow night, I will try and get audio here. Well, good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Morristown area, I'm pleased to welcome you to this forum for Madison Council. My name is Marie Finaro. I am the Voter Service Chair of the Morristown Area League. The Morristown Area League is a non-partisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influence public policy through education and advocacy, empowering voters and defending democracy. That is our message. Elections and voting are core concerns for the League. We are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. We would like to make you aware that there is a public ballot question on the November 6th ballot. The question concerns securing our children's future Bond Act as a service to the voting public. The League of Women Voters of New Jersey Education Fund has prepared an analysis of the ballot question with reasons to either vote pro or con. The prepared summary sheet is available on the back table, and you can access it on your way out if you haven't already received it. But please pick it up and read it before November 6th. There's a lot of good information there for you to make a decision. You can also go to vote411.org. That provides a one-stop site. It's a one-stop site for information on all aspects of voting and most of the candidates that you will be seeing on your ballot. I'm trying to think what else I have back there. There's also paper information on. You can still apply for a mail-in ballot until October 30th. They're back there, and some information about the process. There's also some information about fair districts that the League is taking as a how can I say it? As a project this year. Fair districts has to do with gerrymandering, and the League will be discussing this issue all around the state this year. There's some paper back there. If you pick it up, there's a lot of information. If you would like to participate in any of these efforts, the League welcomes men and women. Please join us. Pick up a membership brochure on your way out. The League of Women Voters never supports or opposes candidates for office or political parties. Any use of the League name or footage from this debate in campaign materials, literature, or advertising of any kind, including internet, cable, or television, has not been authorized by the League of Women Voters. As a courtesy to our candidates, please turn off your cell phones and other electronic debate devices now. And please refrain from taking pictures or video during the debate. So now at this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Ann Armstrong. Per League practice, she is not from this voting district. Ms. Armstrong is a League-trained moderator and a member of Somerset County. She will introduce the candidates and outline the format for this evening. Thank you all for coming.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marie. Sure. Good evening. We have with us this evening 4 candidates vying for 2 seats on the Madison Borough Council. Before introducing the candidates and explaining the format, I had additional information that I was going to tell you about the League of Women Voters, but Marie has handled all the information that I could possibly give. I do want to put a little plus onto go to www.vote411.org. You just enter your address and then you get your personalized ballot. It's all the way from the state question through the Senate, through the congressional candidates to your county freeholders and any other county offices that may be there. In some cases, we're down to the local municipalities and school board candidates. So if you remember, try to get there before you go to vote. Now, on to the format. Each candidate will give a brief opening statement. After the opening statement, it will be time for questions from the audience. All candidates will have the opportunity to answer each question. Each candidate will be given a set time to answer each question, and responses will be timed by a person sitting up front. After the question and answer period, the candidates will give a brief closing statement. The candidates are Astrid Bailey, Mark Chirolazanza, Deborah Cohen, and Kathy Daly. We will begin with the opening statement of Kathy Daly.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. Thanks also to the League for providing this important forum for our local voters. My husband Michael and I purchased our home in Madison more than 20 years ago. We love this community. We are very happy to be raising our 2 children here. Professionally, I am the Senior Manager of Legal Operations at Bevan, Mosca, and Judita in Basking Ridge. I earned my undergraduate degree from Notre Dame and a Master of Science from Stevens Institute of Technology. My professional and educational background are both in operations management, and I have extensive experience working at a law firm with legal matters. Most of my work supports our firm's public utility practice area, and I often work on large financial transactions, including a series of transactions worth more than $1 billion a year. I'm a familiar face to many of you, cheering beside you at sports contests or working together on community endeavors. Our family is very active at St. Vincent Martyr Church, assisting with worship services and with nearly every social justice outreach effort in one way or another. My younger son and I enjoy calling bingo games at Pine Acres Nursing Home on Tuesdays, for instance. I serve area homeless when we host guests from Family Promise, and I stay overnight with them at the parish facilities to ensure that the family's needs are met by the parish. I served on the Education Council and the Home and School Association at St. Vincent Martyr School for a decade, and I've been a scout leader for many years in Cub Scout Pack 7 and Boy Scout Troop 7. Outside Madison, I serve on the board for Franciscans in Action, a charity that has built a church in Haiti and now funds the operation of 2 schools there. I also provide pro bono paralegal services for victims of domestic violence. I am passionate about what I do, and I offer this same passion to all my neighbors here in Madison as I sit before you as a candidate for Madison Borough Council. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, and for those of you that don't know me, I'm Deborah Cohen. I'm thrilled to be running for Borough Council with Astrid Bailey, who has helped the council lead Madison through years of fiscally responsible government. My first experience in Madison was when I was a freshman at Drew University 24 years ago. As a student, I loved walking downtown and its hometown feel. I couldn't wait to come back. I returned in 2004, married with 1 child and twins on the way. My husband and I settled in Madison because of the fantastic downtown, easy access to the train, and of course the schools. We're delighted to call Madison home. I've enjoyed being so active in the community. I was a PTO volunteer and board member for many years. I managed my kids' soccer teams and then served as registrar and treasurer for the Madison Soccer Club. I participate with the Volunteer Alumni Network at Drew University and served for 3 years on the Madison Board of Education. I am not only involved with town activities, I take an active leadership role in my career as a teacher in West Orange. I have served on committees at both the school and district level, acted as a liaison to their PTO, a head rep for the union, acting as a liaison between the union and both building and district administration. I have been recognized for my leadership in the school district on several occasions. After serving on the executive board, I now serve as executive director for the NJTEEA, which is the state organization for technology and engineering and STEM teachers, providing professional development, representing them at meetings with the state and Department of Education. I am thrilled to be running for Borough Council. Madison offers so much: small businesses that truly care about their customers and are invested in the town, restaurants of an increasing variety, great schools, the ability to participate in a warm and welcoming community. Community events such as Bottle Hill Day, Taste of Madison, MEF 5K, services for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and Neighbors Helping Neighbors in Need show how we work together to build our community. I am a leader who brings a variety of experiences to the council. I would love to continue giving back to the Madison community by helping with the revitalization of downtown, as well as using my experience as a member of the Board of Ed to help enhance a closer relationship between the borough and the school district.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for listening, to everything that we have to say today, with an open mind, open eyes, open ears. Facts matter is a statement that's been going around lately, and the fact is I've been working since 4 o'clock in the morning on duties that the people of Morris County expect me to fulfill. So I ask you to overlook this ridiculous thing that I'm wearing here tonight and listen to what I have to say, and listen to things that I have to offer you through the words that I'm going to share with you tonight. I have a deep connection to Madison. My family's been here for many, many years, going back to my grandfather. He immigrated from Italy to here, settled in Madison, became a well-known citizen, entrepreneur in town. My family roots are deep here. I was a student at Lucy D. Anthony School for a time. I actually moved out of Madison, but I have come back, living here now this last stint for the last 9 years. I work for the Sheriff's Office. I've been there for 22 years. I am educated in that I have an Associate's in Applied Science for Criminal Justice, graduating high honors. I have a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Sociology from the University of Buffalo. And I have a master's degree from Kane University in Public Administration. I am a commissioner, governor appointed on the Housing Authority, working for Madison's affordable housing needs. I am a resident representative of the Complete Streets Committee, a member of the Elks Civic Organization. I have a beautiful wife, 6 children, and just would like you guys to consider my candidacy for Madison Borough Council.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing and hosting tonight's Candidates Forum. I'm a lifelong resident of Madison seeking re-election to the Madison Borough Council. I'm very happy to be running with Deborah Cohen, a former school board member and a very active volunteer in Madison. We think Madison is a great place to live, and we want the opportunity to continue to make Madison a great place to live. I have over 30 years of municipal experience, starting as a member of the Madison Environmental Commission. I then served 14 years on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, 4 years as chair. I've been serving as the council liaison to the Planning Board for the past 15 years, and I've been elected to the Borough Council for 5 terms. Many people ask, well, why do you continue to serve Madison? My answer is this. I love the town where I grew up and raised our family. I want to continue to give back to the town that gave me and my family so much. I first ran for council in 2001, and I just kept running. My actions on council have made a positive difference in the town. I've supported open and transparent meetings and communication. I've reached out to many in our community to help make Madison a great place to live. One of the contributions of which I'm most proud is my work with Don Bowen, a former council member and Republican, to establish the open space Recreation, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. Today, that trust fund continues to provide benefits to Madison residents. My efforts to balance land use and development have helped to preserve Madison's character. My work on the strategic plan and budgeting helped create sound fiscal policy, a 5-year capital plan, and an electric dividend and a AAA rating. I have served on councils that keep taxes low, services up, and maintains a pay-as-you-go infrastructure plan, which means we don't bond and take on debt. Please vote for the Bailey-Cohen team November 6th.
Thank you. We'll now have the questions from the audience. All candidates will have the opportunity to answer each question. A rebuttal from the other candidates will be permitted, but not required. The first question. One of the key responsibilities of the council is maintaining our property values. Yet, one of the candidates this year in May at a council meeting stated she didn't mind if property values declined by 20%. How is it in the best interest of Madison homeowners to have the value of their primary investment decreased by 20%? Mr. Chiralonza.
Well, the simple answer to that is it's not in any way a good thing for property values to decrease by 20%. And it's our charge as members of Borough Council to ensure that property values, at the very least, stay the same. And it's our charge to encourage everything we possibly can to ensure that those property values in Madison increase. It's the best thing for the town. It's the best thing for the residents.
Okay. Let's just go right down the line. All right.
As I mentioned in my opening statement, my husband and I purchased our home in Madison 20 years ago. When we purchased it, it was sort of like stockholders. We felt like stockholders in the town. We were, buying into Madison and with the hopes. This was a big investment. This was a lot of money that we were spending, and our hopes were that this was going to be a wise investment for us. Obviously, it's a wonderful place to raise a family, but we also thought down the road that our investment would be increasing in value over time. So I certainly, one of the key roles of the Borough Council can't make property values go up, right? But they can advance policies that will attract people into town, not just people, but businesses too. And that is what makes the property values go up. And that is what the Borough Council can do. And that's what I would do if I were on the Borough Council for Madison. Thanks.
You know what? We're in good shape. See the green arrows? They point up. Our values are up, and they continue to go up. And the council does have a responsibility to make sure we maintain all our services. Our services here in Madison are better than any other town around us. We have to make sure our amenities good, our parks, our recreational fields. All those things keep our values up. And as this chart says, we keep going up. Thank you.
We do want property values to go up, and they have been going up, and they have been maintained. And that, as a Borough Council member, we have to look at zoning laws and property laws that are good to keep the diversity of mixing of houses in town, which is what the Borough Council and the Zoning and Planning Board have been doing. Our downtown helps attract people to town that want a downtown that they can walk to. Our schools help attract towns. Our property values are kept up in that facet. But we are looking to keep the right mix of housing for people in Madison, and our realtors are showing that that's happening.
We'll let her ask the question first, though.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Next question. The electric utility is 20 to 30% higher than many neighboring towns. Why are we so dependently high, $10 million profit, and what is a dividend? Do we owe taxes on this dividend? I'm reading it verbatim, but if it doesn't make sense, if you'd like me to repeat.
It makes sense.
All right. Does anyone need it repeated? All right, Ms. Daly, why don't you start, and we'll go that way and back to him.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So I work in a law firm that supports the utility industry, right? So I know what electric users pay in the rest of the state. We focus on the state of New Jersey, so I know what electric users pay in the remainder of the state. Our electric rates are extraordinarily high, particularly for residential users, and they are so high because one of the things we do, and if you read your budget summary statement every year that you get in the mail, one of the things we do is we subsidize Madison's other departments through the utility department, through the electric utility in particular, but also somewhat from the water utility. I don't think that's a good model to follow. Of the $31 million that we spend every year in the municipality, about $7 million of that comes from your electric utility surplus, and that's just not a good place for us to be.
We're very fortunate to have the electric utility. It's a great asset for Madison. We're one of 9 towns in the state of New Jersey that owns their own. If you look at their rates compared to ours, we're right in the middle. I think that we can look at a Hurricane Sandy and say, gee, we are really lucky to have that electric utility, because we were out for approximately 3 days. People who have JCP&L, PSE&G were out for several weeks. The electric utility pays a dividend of $1.5 million. We take $3.5 million of the electric utility surplus and put it back into the infrastructure, so we don't have any debt. It's pay-as-you-go capital projects. The top users of electricity are our corporations and our nonprofits. Only 12% of residents are of the top 50 users. So I think we've got a good deal here. We may be a little higher than JCP&L and PSE&G, but I'm willing to pay for that for the dependability that we have and the fact that we get the benefit of pay-as-you-go capital projects. Thank you.
So with the electric utility, and Austri touched on this, our nonprofits and colleges pay the electric utility and they don't pay taxes. So that's a big amount of money that we get from them that we wouldn't see otherwise. The dividend is a way to give back when we can. It's a fluid situation because of transmission fees and contracts with the companies that we get our electricity to. But for me as a resident, the biggest sell is the reliability of the service. When we do lose power, at a recent Borough Council meeting, it was discussed the average homeowner in 2017 lost power for 38 minutes. That's around town, so some people lost more, which is a pretty good return rate. And we actually were sent to other towns this year after those storms in March to help aid them get their power back because we had our power. So for me, it's worth it.
It has to go to you first.
Well, only Mark has to answer the question.
Can you read the question again? I want to make sure I hit the parts that I think were asked.
Yeah, I didn't quite the dividends, so maybe you can hit that.
The electric utility is 20 to 30% higher than many neighboring towns. Why so dependently high? 10 million profit. And what is a dividend? That's important. Do we owe taxes on this dividend?
Okay.
It's like multiple questions, but it's all about the electric.
A dividend is money that's given back to the consumer, in this case the utility, the electric user. Taxes, I don't believe so, but I'm not an accountant. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody paying taxes on any dividends that they receive through a utility. But the reason it's so high is historically Madison signed a contract that had high electric rates, and we had to pay for them as consumers, as residents of the town. That contract expired. A new contract was issued and signed and agreed to, which had lower rates. And those lower rates that the town was purchasing the electricity for was never translated or given back to us, the residents. And we still pay high rates from that initial contract from years ago. And that's why that's why the revenue is so high and there's a surplus in the electric utility.
Next question.
No.
Right. Next question has to do with downtown Madison. What are your views on downtown Madison? Empty storefronts. What would you do to attract businesses here? Starting with Ms. Bailey.
Thank you.
Right.
You know, I think if you've been downtown lately, you're going to see that a lot of the stores are now busy and a lot's going on. They may be different than the stores we had 20 years ago, but our stores are filling up with new service industry stores and restaurants, and there's a lot going on with the new development off of Kings Road. We've got more foot traffic. So downtown Madison looks really great. The borough has also hired a business director and a communications director, and you're seeing the results of having those people in place to help us restripe, increase the parking downtown. They're looking at putting more handicap spots in strategic spaces. And I think Madison's doing okay with its downtown right now, and we're on top of it, and we've got somebody watching it 24/7. Thank you.
I would have to agree. If you look around downtown, if you drive around downtown in the afternoon, you need to be careful because there's kids everywhere. The junior school students, the high school students all walk downtown and are hanging out because there are restaurants and shops that attract them. They hang out in the toy store. They hang out at Sugar Rush, among other places. Walgreens is a favorite even. So I think our downtown's doing well, and when you drive around other towns, you can see tons of empty storefronts. I think we need to continue to publicize. The communication in the borough has done much better. Facebook's been great. The I Love Madison page promotes the businesses that have Facebook pages. They share stuff out, and letting the community know that we do have this wonderful variety in town.
Thank you.
Attracting downtown businesses is definitely a challenge. You know, to find out where or what type of business an individual might be interested in opening up, and finding that Madison is the place for them to open that business is, you know, not an easy thing to do. It would, but what we do see is, yes, a filling of the vacant spaces in downtown. And it's probably due to the better economic times that we are enjoying presently. And we hope that it continues, and it's our job on council to ensure that the people that are running businesses have an easy way to navigate through whatever regulations and requirements that the council sets into place. And that's what we can do to make it at least easier for them to operate.
One of the things I'd like to make sure that Madison and the Borough Council in particular does is I would like to see the urbanomics study that was just returned last May. I'd like to see more of the ideas from the study implemented a little more quickly than they have been. I think that would do a lot to attract not just the businesses that we need to fill our storefronts that remain vacant, but also to attract the customers into those stores. And then in addition to that, the other thing that I think we need to focus on is the increase in traffic here in town. We have more cars coming through town, and we need to ensure that we maintain the walkability of Madison, that it's still safe for pedestrians, for bicyclists, and yes, also for the cars that do have to travel through. So I'd like to see us focus on traffic, the traffic congestion and the traffic volume. You answered already, right?
My turn. All right, the next question, since we were on traffic, that last question was about downtown Madison. This one is specifically about traffic. What is Madison doing about growing traffic problems? And do you have any solutions that you would propose for the traffic problems?
Madison is seeing an increase in traffic. Anybody that's traveled Park Avenue knows what Florham Park has put in between hotels and businesses and the townhomes, and that is causing an increase in traffic around town. Within the last year, the mayor has actually participated in a regional meeting to discuss the traffic issues with state representatives to try and figure out how best to do that. The Complete Streets program that Mark's familiar with looks at the walkability, the drivability, the accessibility. It's something we need to pay attention to. We're not in 100% control. We can control what's in Madison, and we need to make sure that we are constantly looking at how to ensure traffic is moving slowly and safely through town for all our residents so they can get where they want to go.
Kathy and I have been stating this campaign season that there's two parts of the traffic problem, and that's congestion and safety. Congestion, a solution that I'll let her talk about more would be possibly a small-scale community-type transit system that our residents can access, our visitors can access. That would help encourage them not to have a need to drive downtown and would take some of the traffic off the streets. As far as safety, we've had a number of pedestrians that have been struck and a few fatalities in town over the last few years, and I think that there needs to be more focus by our police department on traffic. And one of the things I'd like to see our traffic unit grow from one officer to at least two, so that there are officers that are specifically dedicated to those concerns that are one of the highest concerns that the police department receives.
So yes, traffic is definitely a growing problem, and it is one that we can address. We need to take steps proactively before the problem gets worse than it is today. I have been a proponent, along with Mark, of a small-scale public transportation system. And it actually is not, I'm not going to claim that I thought it up all by myself, but it did come out of the urbanomics study that I mentioned just in the last answer that I gave. And I think it's been used here in Madison before. I think we'd like to see it return and try to get a few cars off the road and make Madison's roads a little safer for everyone who uses them, but particularly for the pedestrians, for the children who have to walk home from school, and for those people who use bicycles or scooters. Thanks.
The mayor and council have been on top of the issue of the regional congestion. As Deborah said, the mayor convened a meeting of local and state legislators and mayors and representatives, and we're on top of that, and we will continue to be, because it's a regional issue. We can't solve that problem on our own. And unfortunately, the state of New Jersey is in a pretty bad economic situation, and we'd like to see a flyover on Columbia Turnpike and Park Avenue to take some of that traffic away from Madison. That's number one. Number two, we do have complete streets. It talks about walkability, bikeability, and drivability of streets for safety. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we have two officers who deal with traffic, Lieutenant Longo and then another officer. But we are on top of it. We have talked about possibly hiring Uber. That's what Summit does, to bring people from their residences home down to the train station. We have had a Drew University and FDU shuttle also.
Thank you.
Next question? Nope. No. Okay, now I'm getting confused.
So am I. You will be first.
Oh.
Okay. The next question has to do with athletic fields. And the question is about providing a sufficient number of safe athletic fields for our children. Part of it says something like, the additional field changes will affect families that have 3 to 4 children and would be a financial burden and deterrent to teaching proper health and welfare and sportsmanship to our children. Do you think that's fair to these families? Of course. We're talking about athletic fields, and something here talks about field changes. It might be. It looks like field to me, but anyway. Okay, yeah, thank you. You could see it. It doesn't look like that. But okay, the additional fee changes will affect families that have 3 to 4 children and would be a financial burden and deterrent to teaching proper health and welfare and sportsmanship to our children. Do you think that's fair to these families? So it's about the athletic fields, but about this fee.
Athletic fields, and more specifically the athletics that take place on them, do teach our kids and our families and those participants about health and sportsmanship. But there is no need to burden those participants and those partakers with additional fees to pay for those fields. Madison has an open space account that has revenue that can be used to, if planned for and budgeted wisely, used to take care of those costs that are required to maintain and sometimes make modifications to those fields. So it's unnecessary to add additional user fees on those families that have kids that participate in sports. Sure.
First thing I want to mention is that when the turf fields were built 8-10 years ago, somewhere in that range, I think we kind of assumed they would be a panacea and they would solve every problem we ever had with our fields. And that really isn't the case. We need to make sure we maintain all of our fields for our young athletes and our older athletes too, because it's not only the youth that use those fields. So the grass fields need to be maintained on a regular basis, not just once in a while, but on a regular basis. We need to make sure we leave one field open on a regular basis. We do need to maintain our turf fields. A new turf field will be a great idea. I'm a proponent of that. And as far as funding the reskinning of fields with increase in user fees, I don't think that's necessary or warranted. I think we have enough money. We can find enough money in the resources we have today that we will not need to increase the user fees. I'm not a fan of increasing user fees.
The user fees have not been increased. I think there's a misunderstanding here. The Recreation Advisory Committee advises the council regarding user fees. At the present time, the user fee is $20. There has been discussion in that committee, because I was a liaison 3 years ago to that committee, of raising user fees to meet their obligations to reskin the fields. But that has not occurred. That can only occur on the council level, and it has not been brought to the council. Madison's asset is one of their many assets are the fields, the recreation fields. We have a great turf complex, and a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the Open Space Trust Fund recommended to the council they consider talking to the school board about another turf field adjacent to the MRC. That will take place, but no decision can be made until those two bodies get together. Thank you.
As a mom of 3 boys, all athletes, active soccer participants, now doing track and cross country, having made a shift, I fully support the athletic fields. We do need to do a better job of maintaining not just the turf fields, but Rosedale. We have worked this year, the borough has worked this year with the Little League and working on those fields, and it's been a joint effort between the Little League organization and the borough, just like we would like to see the borough and the Board of Ed work on adding another turf field. But that does not mean that the maintenance of the fields that are not turf should not be maintained, and we do need to be cognizant of the user fees being raised, but if it becomes necessary in conjunction with open space, it's something that, as long as facts are given, we need to at least look at.
30 seconds more? Sure. The Open Space Trust Fund, Recreation and Historic Preservation Trust Fund is a valuable resource. The money that is in that fund right now is paying off the debt of the purchase price of the fields, the MRC, and paying off the reskinning. But we're in a good position at this point to discuss reskinning the fields when necessary and setting aside money, which we did. And we are in a position to say that we have the money available to build a new field and still have money for historic preservation and other projects.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, the next question has to do with the amount of redevelopment in town. What is your position about the large housing that the borough allowed on the old Green Village Road school property? And I think we're starting with you, Ms. Daly. Does that sound right?
That Rose Hall and Madison Place building complex that exists now, where the Green Village School once existed, that has been the single most raised topic by voters that I have spoken to, canvassing around town, whether at the farmers market or knocking on their doors. And the word that seems to be in common parlance to describe it, and it's not my word, this is coming from the people that I speak with, it's monstrosity. That's what they call it. And I'm sorry to say that, because I know I don't see anyone here that I've met who lives there, but I have met people who are our new neighbors who live there. It's corner to corner, either paved or built upon, and it's too much impervious coverage. It seems like it's out of scale with its neighborhood. Having said that, they are our new neighbors. We have to see how this impacts our infrastructure, our parking, and most importantly, I'm going to keep bringing it up, the ever-increasing traffic here in Madison.
The decision on that piece of property was a decision, it was the school board's property. They came to the borough. They said, we want to maximize our dollars because those dollars will go to our children. So the school board and the planners sat down with the town council and with the planning board, and we knew from demographic studies that millennials do not want to buy houses right now. They want rentals. They want a place where they can walk to town and where they can walk to transit. This provided that. It also provided for the people who want to continue to live in Madison but want to downsize the opportunity to live in a smaller place here in Madison without the concern of mowing the lawns and everything. They are our second largest taxpayer. We too walk the streets of Madison, and when we heard grumblings, we also, when we explained to them they're the second largest taxpayer, it's what the younger generation wants, and it is a great asset to the Madison taxpayers.
So along with that, there are two other things that go along with it, and it is a very large building. $1 million of that sale from the Board of Ed did go to the turf fields that we were just talking about reskinning, but that was contingent on the sale of that building being over $5 million. So that, again, that maximizing, how were they going to maximize that land? And the other piece is it does have that fabulous community space that is now open that the borough rents for $1 a year. I believe it's for the next 30 years. That allows events to happen, community events. There's a different scale depending on the type of event. The farmers market is going to get to be extended from November and December into that because we now have an indoor space where we can do that with vendors that's available to. So while big, I totally agree with that. I think it's actually going to turn out to be a fantastic space for Madison.
Yes. Thank you. Redevelopment. It is a large, very large project that was fit into that space over there. But what was even larger was the emotional impact that it had on the people of Madison. That was a school where people attended. That was a ball field that kids played on. It was a place where many of us may have went there to sleigh ride in the wintertime. So to see the land redeveloped in such a way was very, very impactful to the people of Madison. That being said, nothing we can do about the fact that the building stands. It's now a time for us to see how that settles into town, how the people who reside there interact with the town, if there is any impact on our infrastructure. And going forward, you know, we just need to make sure that we do our development in a slow manner and a sure manner, making sure that it fits into town and at the right pace that Madison can handle.
Thank you. Next question. What is your view on allowing marijuana to be sold within Madison when the state of New Jersey makes sales legal? And I don't know who's got this first, but I think it's you. Yeah, Ms. Bailey. Marijuana, yep.
Okay. Well, first of all, the state of New Jersey hasn't made any decision. So until we have all the facts, we will, I don't want to speak as a member of council and say we support it, we don't support it. I don't support it. I don't think it's a good thing for our town to have it here. I don't think it's good for any of us, adults and children, to be smoking marijuana.
For me, I agree. The state hasn't said anything, and until the rules and the tax implications and all of those implications are met, I'm not willing to even take a hard stance, yes or no, because I have mixed views on it. I have mixed views as a parent, as a teacher, as an adult, as friends who use medical marijuana, and it has significantly helped them. So I would like to know more information about what the tax implications would be if we decided to put something in town. I think it is something that would require a town discussion, not just a council discussion, something that would require input from everybody to understand exactly what those implications are and the pros and the cons to doing it.
I believe the question has a supposition contained in it that marijuana will be legal in the state of New Jersey. So going along with that, if it ever is legal in the state of New Jersey, I would not stand for it being anywhere, any place in Madison. There is aspects about that marijuana usage recreationally that I am not in any way a supporter of.
Well, it's practically unanimous. I agree with everything everyone has said. And Deb, I especially agree with you about needing to hear the opinions of people. Who I would like to hear the opinion of the most, however, is Madison Area Alliance Against Substance Abuse. Yeah, Madison Alliance Against Substance Abuse, MASA. I would like to know what they have to say about it. But personally, I am adamantly opposed to, first of all, the main responsibility of the Borough Council is to ensure the health and safety of the people of Madison. I do not think that legalized marijuana within a storefront within the borough's confines would in any way advance the health and safety of the people here. But in any event, I am adamantly opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What are your plans for improving Madison's sustainability efforts? Waste management, for example, composting, for example, local businesses, accountability, and solar panels. Sustainability efforts. Ms. Cohen, first.
I think I'm 100%. We need to do a better job. We are working on it. There is now the Green Team, I believe it's called. There's all different commissions. There's the Environmental Commission in town. We've had the townwide garage sale. There was the swap in the spring. Looking at that sort of thing is how we can all deal with all of the stuff we're accumulating, and rather than putting it in landfills, doing a better job of reusing that sort of thing. Recycling, garbage pickup, all of that, composting. I know I believe, again, it was the Environmental Commission that sold compost bins. So anything we can do. Solar panels, if we can find a space that's viable, it's definitely something we need to look at, but it needs to, again, be varied. Look at the cost, look at public input, look at where we could put them. But I definitely think we do need to continue to increase. And we have a great town, and PTO is supporting it with gardens in the schools all the way up to the town level. So we're on our way. We need to keep going.
Right, with the question, it was composting, then it was something else, and then...
Waste management, for example, composting, local business accountability, and solar panels.
Well, it's important for us to keep in mind, sustainability is important. It is a responsibility for all of us, to recycle and to reuse when we can. My wife and I decided to put solar panels on our home. It seems to be working out for us, but not everybody lives with a home that is orientated to the sun and can have that affixed to their house or on their property. But if that is something that they can do, the the Borough Council can help ensure that the process of obtaining those solar panels is easy and smooth. We can help local businesses be accountable by offering sensible programs to maintain a recycle bin or a collection area. And for those that don't participate in that program, make sure that those rules are followed through warnings and further enforcement to change the behavior.
Okay, so I actually have quite a few ideas. One thing, I will preface all my comments by saying that the current municipal model that we have for our utility structure, our current utility model, is a disincentive to any environmental efforts, if you think about it. Right now, the more electricity that our Madison residents and businesses use, the more money we make, the more our surplus grows, and the lower, the more artificially low our tax rate can appear. So that's my first comment. In the short term, one of the things I'd like to see and that I promote, and it's happening already, and I'd like to see it happen at even faster pace, is the implementation of smart meters in our electric utility. It allows users of electricity to see what they're using in a real-time basis, so that they can adjust their electric usage and be more mindful of what they're using.
Thank you. Madison has won awards for their sustainability. We are recycling. We have community gardens. We have ordered the smart meters. We're in the process of putting them in. They are up on the Kings Road development at Rose Hall. We have LED lighting now in our street lamps, and we're changing all that out. We are discussing where we could put a solar field. And we also have sponsored a company here to come to the residents to discuss, how they can be more energy efficient. So I agree with, what everybody has said here, but the electric utility is something that I think Madison should be very proud of, because it does provide a dividend, and that can go up if we feel that we are in a secure place. But right now, all our pay-as-you-go capital projects are from the electric utility, and it does keep our taxes low, under 1%. I don't think that's a bad deal. And we have the highest users being corporations and nonprofits.
Thank you. Next question.
Can I use my...
Of course. 30 seconds. Go ahead, Ms. Daly.
Yeah, regarding the electric dividend, I didn't address it before, but I will address it now since Austri brought it up. The electric dividend is returning money to you that Madison never should have collected in the first place. Thank you.
All right. Any other? Anyone else? Next question. And I know we've talked about property values already, but this is rather simple. What's your view on property values? Too high or just right?
Well, I mean, they are what they are, but like I said on the other question, we don't want them to go down. So they need to be either maintained or increased through the successful progress of Madison.
So property values are variable based on which property is yours. Some people make significant sacrifices to purchase, restore, and maintain their homes, and other people don't so much, right? Whether it's not just their homes, but their commercial properties too. So the property values the property owner has a lot of say over how their property values are. It's supply and demand. Like I said earlier, the Borough Council doesn't set property values. We just, the Borough Council, if I were elected to the Borough Council, right, just can promote policies that either add or detract from the overall value of Madison as a community to live in and own a business in.
I agree with that, but I also know that part of the property values is we're a very desirable town to live in, and our property values are very high. We do want to make sure that we have a diverse stock of houses. So all different people and all different economic values can come here and live in Madison and benefit from all the things that we have to offer.
I agree. We need a diverse amount of housing, property values. We don't have control of it. I can tell you as somebody who's house hunting currently, there is a range. The housing market, though, they fly off the market. I can get an email from my realtor in the morning, and if I haven't gotten back to her in 24 hours, I may get a second email saying, wait, it may be under contract, or hang on, it's off the market, whatever the case may be. In talking to realtors, things are sitting on the market no more than about, on average, 2 months, so that must say something about where the property values are. They must be doing okay for what Madison is inviting to town.
Next question. And I know we've talked about redevelopment earlier, too. However, this is more specific. What is your position about Rose Hall that the borough allowed? It's the same as the other see, the words were different. All right. Sorry, but thank you. Okay. You didn't like that one? I'll give you another one. What do you think are the greatest challenges facing Madison, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, we've talked a lot tonight about the increase in the land development in our region, not just here in Madison, but as Deb pointed out earlier, along the corridor heading toward Florham Park on Park Avenue, and also in Morris Township, and there's development everywhere. That has had an impact on our traffic, and not just the traffic. The traffic also impacts the walkability of our downtown area. I started talking about that earlier. I'm going to talk about that more now. Part of what attracts people and businesses into Madison is the fact that it's so attractive for people to walk, right? I mean, it's a wonderful downtown area. That's part of what makes people want to come here. If the downtown is dangerous for pedestrians, it's going to be less walkable. We won't have the shoppers. We won't have the businesses coming into town. We won't have people wanting to move here. It will affect our property values in the long run. That's what I think is the greatest challenge facing Madison.
Regional development and local development and balance and open space. These are issues every single town is going to have to face, particularly now. Each town in the state of New Jersey is in litigation with the Affordable Housing Association regarding our obligations towards low and moderate income housing. That's going to be a big issue that's going to face us. One of the things that we are promoting is that we need a new master plan. We need a new master plan for the 21st century where our residents put in their input, as well as the council and the planning board, for what we want to do as a town to keep our housing stock diverse, to keep our open space, to keep the amenities we love. I think that's the biggest challenge facing our council, and I think that I would like to see us work on a 21st century master plan.
And for me, that master plan and what Kathy was also referring to with the traffic, I think the biggest challenge we have is actually getting and keeping people involved. Right now, with this midterm election, people are involved, they're talking, everybody's involved. What happens November 7th? How do we keep that communication going? How do we keep that involvement so that as we address traffic issues, as we address the regional issues, as we address open space, which are all concerns, as we look at creating a new master plan, how do we make sure that we're getting all of the public that are concerned, that are complaining on Facebook, that are complaining at soccer games, that are complaining at track meets or Boy Scout meetings or wherever it is that they're all talking to their friends, how do we get them out of their houses to events like this to hear what people are saying and get input? So for me, all of these pieces that we're talking about are an issue, but to me the bigger issue is keeping the public involved in the communication so that we can do what the residents of Madison want and not just what the Borough Council or a small group representing people wants.
Challenges.
Yes. Thank you. Challenges for Madison. Communication is important. Regional development is important. We do have a say. We can always voice our concerns for regional development, but will our impact be significant? It's hard to say. But for us in Madison, infrastructure and the things that we don't see, like our water service, delivering clean water to the residents, our sewer system, making sure that is strong and secure and not full of leach holes where rainwater is getting in that would cost us money as we have to process that. And the electric utility, the upgrades that need to be done to that to make sure that the revenue stream is maintained. Pace and impact of development, I said it needs to be slow but sure. And the other thing is the affordable housing obligation that has yet to be agreed upon or ruled upon.
All right, next question. There's more than one that hit upon the same thing, but let me just read what the first one says. What are your views on keeping the Madison movie theater in town? Do you support that idea? What would you do to keep it in town if you support that idea? And along those same lines is an idea. Why not make the vacant movie theater affordable housing? The affordable housing always is at on the outskirts of town. Usually they don't have cars. Why not rally for affordable housing to be in downtown? Affordable housing replacing the movie theater. I can't remember who goes first. Do you? Yeah. Okay. If you do.
I started the last one.
Okay. Then you know. Okay. See, you're getting better.
Thank you.
All right. You got it. The
Yeah.
Madison movie theater.
Right, you're right. And I can't really address the issue because I am the council liaison to the planning board. The application will be coming before the planning board very soon by the current developer or the current owner of the movie theater. So I cannot put a position, give a position on that. I do support our historic downtown.
For me, the movie theater was bought by a private owner. It's their right to do what they want. I feel we need to maintain the character of downtown with whatever goes there. As far as turning it into affordable housing, and the comment that affordable housing is always on the outskirts of town and they don't have cars, we actually have affordable housing spread throughout towns. We don't want it all in one neighborhood, and some of it is walkable to town. Something I learned while we were canvassing, to be honest. I didn't know all of the places we had affordable housing. So my goal for the movie theater space is to maintain the character and the historic nature of the downtown.
Thank you.
It would be wonderful to keep the movie theater in town. If a developer came with the right plan, a sensible plan, I think regardless whether you sit on the planning board or not, you can say that if that plan was the right one, the sensible plan, that you would push it to move it forward. As far as affordable housing, I think as we move forward, as I just stated in the last question, that is one of the biggest challenges, our obligation to meet either the settled, agreed upon number or the judicial ruled upon number, what Madison's going to have to meet. And any development, as long as it's, like I said, slow but sure development, is going to have some element of affordable housing within that that architecture. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm one of the families that laments the loss of the movie theater as a family entertainment destination within Madison. I'm very sad it's gone. I'd like to see something move into Madison, whether it's in that space or some other space that can fill the same role that a movie theater played for so very many years here in the culture of our central business district. As far as what I would do to save the building itself, I don't really. I would defer more to historic preservation on that. We have people who are much wiser than I am in judging these things, and I'd like to have more of their input than mine. And also, regarding affordable housing, if that space does become housing, the obligation, I believe, or the requirement would be 1 in every 4 or 1 in every 5 units to be affordable. That would be what the builder would be required to do, not the whole thing.
All right, this is the last question of the evening. Why do we waste money on dog parks no one uses, there's no parking, and there's no access? That's what it says. And I don't remember who's first here, but I'll check. It's what it says. What can I say? And I think we're starting with you, right?
Yeah. Yay. Okay, sorry, it threw me for a little. I'm not sure how I was at the dog park presentation at the Borough Council meeting. It didn't seem like it would cost a lot of money other than fencing an area, and then my assumption is there's probably some maintenance of what is in the fenced-in area. Again, I think it needs to be a community decision. There was a presentation made to the Borough Council. The mayor, in response, asked for a resolution from the Parks Commission, I believe, to support it. And then it'll come to a council vote. But the question's kind of throwing me because I'm just not sure what expense is behind a dog park, to be honest.
Maybe the insurance expenses. I guess.
Kathy and I have knocked on a lot of doors in Madison during this campaign season. There are homeowners that have a lot of dogs in town. It seems as though.
Yes, we can all agree on that.
Yeah. So, a dog park for Madison residents may not be underutilized, and a parking space or two could probably fit into the plan. If the plan is a good one, and the placement of a dog park is the right place to put it. So. Like I said on the other answers, if it's the right plan and it fits, then I would move it forward. I wouldn't see it as a waste.
Regarding the expense of a dog park, I think the biggest expense of the current proposed dog park would be the biggest expense in terms of money would not be the fencing in of the area, but rather the required insurance and the potential liability that the borough would face. So that's the first part of my answer. The second part of my answer is going to be I was also at the dog park presentation. I know, Astrid, you saw it too, and that was the first time I had seen the plan, and one of the things that struck me to the heart was that, as I mentioned before in my opening statement, I'm very involved with the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts, and the location that's proposed for fencing in the area, that's exactly where the Cub Scouts in town, all the Cub Scouts in town, basically have their very first camp out of their lives. Same exact area. I would hate to see that area in particular be used for a dog park.
We heard a very good presentation about the possibility of a dog park, but there are still questions, and as the mayor asked the group to come back with a resolution from the Parks Committee. So we are waiting for that, and then we'll have to hear question of liability, and we do know the cost is only the cost of the fencing. So until we hear that, I think that as a council we'll have to make a decision once we get all those pieces together. Here. Oh,
No, I'm done. I started.
You're done? First. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We will now have the closing statements, beginning with Ms. Bailey, which means I'm bringing it back.
Oh, that's right. I could have held on to it. Silly me. Okay. I want to thank the League, to the participants, and those of you who came out tonight. It's a great group of people. It's really heartening. Everyone here tonight cares about Madison, and we all think it's a pretty special place, and we are very lucky to live here and raise our families. If elected, Deborah Cohen and I would like to work with the council, the planning board, and the public to craft a master plan for the 21st century. We want to continue to see grants to improve our recreational facilities and work with the school board to create an additional turf field adjacent to the Madison Recreation Complex. We are committed to holding the line on taxes, maintaining services and shared services, and infrastructure, paying out the electric dividend to our residents, keeping our residents safe, promoting a healthy environment, supporting our downtown, and ensuring that Madison remains a diverse and vibrant town for all. Why vote for me and Deborah Cohen? I think the answer is we have experience and leadership. Deb, on her years on the school board, worked with the municipality. The people of Madison have elected me 5 times. I have many years of experience in keeping the taxes low and those services up. I understand the municipal government process and how to make it work for the residents of Madison. I would like the opportunity to serve the residents of Madison once again, and I urge all voters to support the Bailey Cohen team on November 6th. Thank you very much.
And you're next.
The importance of good governance really shouldn't be understated. I think Kathy and I will bring fair, reasonableness, and independent thought to the Borough Council. And our education and experience will be an attribute to the decisions that we'll have to make. And those sensible decisions will, delivering those sensible decisions will bring the most benefit, to the people of Madison. And, I wanted to mention a little bit about my work experience specifically. I've been in charge of the Legal Services Division, which I supervise just under 40 people. Part of that division, we were responsible for foreclosure sales, which the accounts for the Sheriff's Office, we move in and out almost $25 million last year in those accounts. I am also responsible for the K-9 unit, the warrant section currently. I have been tasked with doing undercover work and just general, safety and security work within the courthouse as a sheriff's officer. But I think as a manager has helped me develop the most in the last 6-8 years, along with my education in a management program like the public administration program at Kean University. And what really brings my wife and I speak of it most, gratification is our volunteerism to the town and in the things that we do. And I just would like you all to consider voting for Kathy and I on November 6th. And thank you once again for having very engaged and an open-mindedness about my manner of dress tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Cohen?
I too would like to thank both the League of Women Voters. This is my 3rd debate I participated in too for Board of Ed, and it's a great opportunity. It's nice to see a nice big crowd, and like I said, I hope to see continued involvement come November 7th in what's going on in town. I bring a lot of different variety in my leadership experience that could help the council out. My work with the Board of Ed, I think, would serve as a good liaison to helping bring those shared services together. Should you choose to elect Austria and I think her experience on the Board of Ed and both of our leadership ability would help that to continue providing our services that our residents expect. We don't pay for garbage. It's included in our fee. It's included in property taxes. We're not a town. We're not buying trash bags that we have to put out and that sort of thing. To continue to provide an electric dividend, pay as you go for capital projects, and keeping our taxes low would all be in our top priorities. We need to find ways to continue to improve what already makes this a great town to live in, and I hope you'll support me and Austria on November 6th.
As I look around the room tonight, I see many faces that I have volunteered alongside for one community need or another. That's exactly what's happening here, too. As I run for council, I'm simply responding to a community need, just like any responsible citizen ought to do when they see one. I ask humbly for your support. I thank all of the candidates, Astrid, Deb, especially Mark. Thank you for making this journey with me. Running for office is not an easy thing to do. Like me, these people care deeply about Madison and its future, and for that, I thank all of you. Thanks also to the League of Women Voters, and also to the Thursday Morning Club for providing this gracious space for this forum every year. And they're going to do it again tomorrow night for the Board of Ed, so make sure you come back again tomorrow night. But most especially, I want to express my appreciation to all of you for coming here tonight. You are the reason that I sit before you here as a candidate for political office. I can assure you I am way outside my comfort zone. This is not something I ever expected that I would do. Having said that, I will work very hard to be worthy of your vote and to be your voice if I'm elected. Thanks.
I hope you found this evening an informative one. I'd like to remind you that there is information on the back table if you care to take any of it. And I'd like to also please remind you and remember to vote Tuesday, November 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kathy. Good luck. Thanks, Mark.